All right, episode 206. Another day, another massive lawsuit. Things aren't looking good. We're going to get started right now. All right, episode 206. Look, things are just looking real gray, real dark because there's another day, another lawsuit that was just filed. This time, homebuyers are now filing a massive lawsuit filed in Illinois.
They're looking gray and dark, but not here in the studio.
This looks good.
Actually looking kind of blue.
Look how great I look with this new studio setup.
Damn it.
Is it
so good?
First off, is it a new studio setup or is it the same studio, just different design?
Just
Yeah,
different
it's
design.
feng shui.
Yeah.
Feng
I'm a
shui.
little further away from the wall. Jesse's like, he's got a protractor in here. He's like really
Look,
setting
he
it
took
up right.
he took some great advice
I actually
from
measured.
Rick Gershon from
Yes, he did.
Four Man
Yeah.
Furnace.
Yes, shout out.
Yeah, so shout out to him
Massive
and
props.
shout out to Mortgage Mike
Mm.
for not being here today. Mortgage Mike, who
Oh.
should be here
He should.
and enjoying the studio, but he's doing loans right now. He is busy giving that Mortgage Mike stamp of approval, just giving loans to everyone. You got $99, you got good credit, okay credit, bad credit, no credit. He got you.
Doesn't matter because the interest rates came down last week.
That's right.
did.
Jesse is, by the way, Jesse
Killing
is
it.
TikTok famous.
I am.
Dude, one of his reels went off. Or sorry,
did.
I
It-
just dated myself.
Yeah.
I called a TikTok a reel. Bunch of 12-year-olds just call me a nerd.
Yeah, but Jesse's just doing reaction videos
That's
to
To interest rates.
the news
The
rates.
MMA knockout fights.
Yeah. And so go to mmgloans.com and send Mortgage Mike some of your loan approvals or opportunities or at bats and ask for that Mortgage Mike stamp of approval. He's just giving it to everyone. So then when you're done doing that, I talked to Theron Smith today over at Armadillo Home Warranty. And he was helping David work through some HVAC issues on a contract. And so
Okay.
so
Good,
that's
David.
armadillo.1/TOR, TORE. He's giving that hard shell protection when it comes to home warranties in all 50 states.
You have called David Betnick David twice today.
D Bizzle.
It's almost like when you start calling your parents by their first names because
Yeah.
you're older now. You're like 40 and you're like, just call your parents by their first names. David Betnick has grown up so much.
Yeah.
Nick's just calling him David now.
It's the same way that I like with Mortgage Mike,
right.
like we all call him DeBacker.
Yes.
His wife
I was
and
about to say
Elizabeth,
that.
his wife and Elizabeth call
Same
him
thing.
Michael.
Michael.
And I'm like, wait,
Michael?
who are we talking about?
I'm so confused.
But with my other group, like with the dad's groups that I hang out with, they all call him Mortgage Mike.
Do
That
they
is
really?
his name.
As they
Mortgage
should.
Mike.
That's hysterical.
Yes.
They
So
should.
he's got three names to answer to. DeBacker, Michael, and Mortgage Mike.
We know who's only got one name. Dana Wynn.
All one win.
All one word.
Yeah.
Over at Homeward Property Management.
And she's winning the property management game.
Yeah, we don't do enough puns.
No,
with
we
that.
don't.
We should. You want to win in the property management game? Call Dana Wynn over at Homeward Property Management or check out homewarddfw.com for all of your North Texas and soon to be beyond property
Ooh.
management needs.
Florida? California?
Everywhere. But everywhere. Man.
You know who else is everywhere? Jesse, Tour Studios.
Tour Studios.
Making this look sexy AF.
It's everywhere. They come to you or you come to them, but they're everywhere.
Coming somewhere.
Here you go.
Well, look,
How much do you weigh? We have to finish our conversation from earlier.
I mean, that's personal. We've got thousands of viewers.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Like 263.
Okay, so if you do
Are we taking percentage of what we bench?
Yeah, well, yeah,
Yeah,
only because I need. This is not a braggadocious thing.
Yeah.
I'm a smaller guy. I'm a way smaller guy.
But you didn't say what the personal record was. You just said what?
No. I hadn't even I'm doing a lot more compound movements, so I'm doing more bench now, and I do 225 4 times yesterday.
Okay, good.
So I think it's good,
Yeah.
but I only weigh 172 pounds.
That's what I warm up with.
So I don't know what percentage that is
That's-
because
then
I
not-
know what I'm saying. You
not
warm
to
up
be-
way
not
more
to-
than
yeah.
that. So if you do 315 5 times, but you weigh 265, what percentage is that?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know. Which way do you divide it? I always divide backwards. 84%. 84%. Remember that. 84%.
We're getting to the lawsuit in a minute.
I think it's probably pretty close. No, mine's 77%. I don't know if that means I'm better or worse. I think it means I'm better because I'm smaller. Yeah. Sorry, I'm so much stronger than you.
Well, it's kind of like
Just
smaller
kidding.
homes sell for a higher price per square
Yeah, it's
foot.
like $1 per square
Yeah.
foot thing.
Yeah,
That's true.
That's
So
true.
you're a smaller home than I am.
Yeah.
100%.
And I'm a bigger home that everyone wants to live in.
You guys can live so much. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the other thing, if I had shorter arms, I could.
Yeah,
I
you
could
have
lift
long
a lot more.
arms too.
Yeah.
You guys are crazy
Yeah.
strong.
All right. Mother of all commission suits
Mother of
filed in
all.
Illinois, this time by homebuyers. Right. So if you remember episode 204, what are we, 205 right now? What is this? 206?
206.
205. We
Yeah.
talked about the NAR lawsuit against, the lawsuit against NAR, KW, and the other brokerages, and how they were found guilty and colluding. And it was $1.53 billion in fines so far. That could go up to $5 billion. And of course, they're going to appeal it. But this here was filed in Illinois, and it's kind of piggybacking off of the class action lawsuit after the Seitzer Burnett trial verdict, and accusing a slew of real estate companies of engaging in conspiracy to inflate buyer cost. Right, and this lawsuit is led by 7 home buyers, and they filed a federal antitrust lawsuit November 2nd, seeking a class action status against Compass, EXP, World Holdings, Redfin, Weichert Realtors, United Real Estate, Howard Hanna Real Estate, and Douglas Elliman in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Illinois Eastern Division.
But not against Keller Williams. Because
Okay.
they're afraid of Gary
Can we
Keller.
go down further? I guess I'm just trying to get my head around this. So I just want to have all the facts here, just because the one in Kansas City was 500,000 home sellers to the tune of a certain
This
amount.
is 7
This
buyers.
is 7, but this is also journalism is weird. They're talking about the mother of anything. Isn't that a weird, clunky way to
It
say
is.
things? What are they suing for? Is there an
Defendants
amount?
unlawful.
No, I just mean
Yeah.
an amount, because
They're not-
the headline makes it sound like it's an even bigger lawsuit,
But there's
but
not
it's
an amount.
literally less than 1/10 of 1% of the people suing.
I think isn't the point of the class action for it to determine the damages amount, so they don't know yet.
Yeah, okay, yeah, maybe, because I don't have I don't know how all that works. I
There
was
you
just thinking because of the headline. The headline makes you think it's like way bigger, but then you read it and it's only 7 people.
Right. So,
so
it talks.
far.
Look, it talks about
Defendants.
it talks about defendants' unlawful anti-competitive conduct causes America's homebuyers to pay inflated commissions for broker services that they misrepresent as free, to pay inflated prices for the homes they purchase, and to receive reduced quality broker services. Right. They're also saying that adding later, plaintiffs and the other class members have each incurred at least thousands of dollars in overcharges as a result of defendants' conspiracy.
So they're doing a couple of things. They're doing the inflated home values argument.
Yep.
Which is their primary argument.
Yep.
And then, man,
They're talking about which
I'm just going to choose my words really carefully here. They are arguing that standardized commission structure is the antithesis of heightened levels of service on the buy side. Is that like in the absence of variable commission structures, there is less of a motivation on the behalf of a buyer's agents to provide exemplary service? Is that essentially the argument?
Sure. And then what
Okay.
if you read more on this Inman article that we were going over is it talks about
It's a welcome lawsuit, Justin.
Yeah, it talks about
Let's do it.
I'll sue you back just for fun too. We could make it a game out of it.
I'm gonna sue Nick for the amount of man hours that I spent inviting him to things I know he's not going to come
That's
to.
true.
I just like to be
He
invited.
loves to be invited.
But you already know that, so you
I-
can't sue for that.
No, because you get mad when I don't invite you.
Yeah, that's true. Look, everyone loves the invitation. They don't like to always commit to going places.
That's fair.
right. How many times have you used you're like, yeah, I'll go, and then the day of, you're like, man, I wish I didn't say that.
I say that
Yeah.
so often. You're 100% right.
So they're talking about, look, steering is made easy for buyer's agents by the fact that the blanket commissions offers must be made available to every buyer's agent using the MLS, and that NAR's requirement that offers of compensation be expressed in specific dollars or percentage terms enables buyers agents to easily compare the financial compensation offered to them by home sellers and steer their clients to higher commissioned homes. Thus, this rule is designed, which they're talking about the that co-op rule that we all, we all don't like. Thus, the rule is designed to create tremendous pressure on sellers to offer the high standard commission and to act as a powerful deterrent to anyone who may attempt to offer a discounted commission. And, the reason for the rule is clear, according to the complaint, to maintain higher broker commissions for NAR members at the expense of home buyers. And, I'm struggling with this a lot because really it was the sellers were saying it was high. Now the buyers are saying it's high. This lawsuit is saying that buyers should then go and be able to pay for their own representation. And when they do that, or if this was the case, and it says it here in this article, if that was the case, then they would get better service and have more competitive pricing. And so, number one, I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm not going to choose my words carefully here.
Okay.
Because I don't have a feeling they're going to necessarily get better service.
No.
Because I've seen the services that provided when agents just start to get ultra competitive.
Is that what it said, was better service, or just that they overpaid for the service they got?
The thought process is if buyers could go hire their own representation and pay for it themselves, then it would create a more competitive environment for agents to compete for their service or for them to get hired.
Right.
And that more than likely they're going to get better service out of it.
I don't.
Here's exactly what in the absence of the rule, buyers
hear a little more.
In the absence of the rule, buyers rather than sellers would negotiate buyers agent commissions, and brokers would then compete with each other by offering lower commission rates and/or higher quality of service.
Potentially, I don't know. Here's the thing. Yeah, I think like a lot of this is theoretical and very experiential. Has there ever been a time as a listing agent where you didn't feel that buyer's agent were pulling their weight during the escrow period?
Sure. Have you ever felt like as a buyer's agent, you ever feel a time when the listing agents weren't pulling their weight?
100%. So all I'm
1,000%.
saying is if I was filing a lawsuit as a buyer, I would only know that side of it.
Sure.
So I think everything is about perspective and context. I'm just saying in the context of this particular argument, you could see it being one-sided because it's home buyers that are.
Now, the biggest thing is the last lawsuit, right? The Burnett one had 500,000 homeowners, like you talked about, home sellers. This has 7.
It's pretty stout.
This has 7 buyers now doing this.
Yeah. Do you feel like a pioneer if you're one of those 7? Or do you feel like an asshole?
I think that they feel like a pioneer. What does everyone else believe that they of them?
Money grab.
I think it's, but this was filed. Yeah. So it could be, someone else said the copycat lawsuit. Look, I'm a believer in number one, that if buyers have to now go and pay for their own, go and add that fee on there. I would venture to say that a high percentage would forego representation.
Correct.
Right. Go straight to the listing agent.
Well, and
Initially,
here's the thing too with that is here's the next round of lawsuits is that because they have to go straight to the listing agent who then represents the seller at that point, then they're not getting fair representation. So they feel like they've been taken advantage.
So you're right. That's the next lawsuit. And or the listing agent who then would, is having to navigate, right, an inexperienced buyer or a buyer who thinks that they know because they've purchased one home or 2 homes in the last 30 years, thinks that they know. And now you end up as a listing agent, maybe accidentally crossing the lines of fiduciary responsibility.
Right.
And, not purposely, right? It's not on purpose.
Right.
But
you got to get a deal done.
Yeah. And then you end up finding yourself in lawsuits or, to me, it's just insane that these conversations are happening. I mean, we pulled it up on last week's show, the commission rates since 1992.
I think what's insane in a lot of it just feels very crazy. I think it's unfortunate that this is the only way to have these conversations. is that they have to go to a pretty high level court before people even start talking about them. And what I love about our show and this platform is we have the ability to talk for as long as we want openly about these things.
We only have an hour today.
Oh, Nick's got to bill in an hour, right? Without any prejudice or anything like that. So why don't we do this? Can we agree, before we even dive any deeper on this conversation, can we believe that there is absolutely 100% irrevocably? What do you do? Irrevocably? Doesn't matter.
Irrevocably.
Okay.
That one. That's the one.
There is always value in two sides to a transaction that is most likely the most important transaction financially that most people ever do. There's always merit to having individual representation on each side, meaning both sides have their own agent to represent them. Can we agree that there's merit in that?
Yes.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I think that we now that we've agreed on that, I think it's important that we just look at these conversations not as how they affect the way things are right now, because this industry will continue to evolve like most industries, but where this could go. And so, let's try to bring down the veil of our own bias, right?
I'm your first subscriber, Justin.
I'm just getting so distracted by the comments right now. I can't even finish this up.
Yeah.
If we just let's pull down the veil of our own bias for a second and listen to these seven people and what they're saying, and maybe just think about, I'm not even saying they're right, but if there is a point to be had, it would be really valuable to understand both sides and both perspectives, because I do think that we will find our new groove in the new. Here's the thing. Progress or change or whatever is inevitable at some point, whether it's now, 15 years from now, whatever. It's our job to understand how we can continue to provide as much value as we can to our clients who we do have merit in serving, and how we build a better business of tomorrow around that.
Let's look at it this way. Should these seven buyers be able to file a lawsuit on something that the 500,000 and the other one, they've already won that one,
right,
for right now, and unless it somehow gets overturned,
right?
To use the same argument that home prices are inflated because of these costs, right? Shouldn't they just jump in on that other class action lawsuit?
I agree. So I guess where my head is more in this particular conversation, I don't agree with point one at all. We've talked about this last time. I do have to take a couple of retractions from last time. I was definitely wrong about the MLS thing. I was thinking of the Bright MLS changing it to 0 recently. I thought it was always like that. I was totally wrong about that. I don't agree with point one at all. I don't think that commissions to your agent inflate home values in any way, shape, or form. We talked about this with other industries last time. I believe the idea around a standardized, and it's not standardized, but it's set by the market, and the market has its own common guidelines. Buyer's agency commission, I can understand an argument to be made that may decrease the motivation on the part of the buyer's agent to provide exemplary service, because they're getting paid a certain amount no matter what, as long as it closes. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not justifying or arguing. I can see a certain perspective in where I understand home buyers feeling that way. Instead of let's just try and disprove this, why don't we try to understand it and then build a better business around it?
Gotcha. By the way, these seven, so it says in this article, go back on that, Jesse, real quick. Both the plaintiffs and the defendants are familiar players, right? The plaintiffs are the same as those who currently have a lawsuit pending in the same district against NAR anywhere.
Sorry, wait, it's 5 of the 500,000? It's 7 of the 500,000?
That's what it sounds like.
Oh, so they bought their buyers and sellers.
KW, Remax,
okay,
Home
well,
Services America.
Same attorneys
Yeah.
as Sitzer Burnett.
Yeah, so it's with one exception. The defendants. The defendants
the
are the same.
attorneys.
No, but the
no,
defendants
also.
Oh.
and plaintiffs are
Well, the defendants obviously would be, but the plaintiffs are 7 of the 500,000 people.
Yeah.
Could be.
Interesting. Some
Yeah.
people just love courthouses, man. I had jury duty last week.
Money grab.
Not into it.
Jerry, which part?
It was very stuffy in there. I was
Yeah.
glad I didn't get picked.
They need to turn air conditioning on.
It was just the whole thing was way too official. It felt like for me.
Megan Phelps is right. Sellers are still going to want top dollar, whether or not an
Yep.
agent is involved in the sale. Like
Yeah.
who? And again, like
I agree
I've
with. I
never
agree
met,
with that.
Yes, I've
But that-
never met a seller who was, again, we talked about it on last week's show. This eventually it's like it's beating the dead horse on this. Is that go talk to for sale owners.
Yep.
I have yet to meet one that has discounted their price or lowered their price because they were not paying commissions.
Yep.
It just doesn't. I
agree.
I've yet to see it happen.
So in that scenario, let's just say that buyer's agent commission didn't exist, but you paid the same price for that home. But I was self-represented. Would that show up in the form of equity for me?
You tell me.
I don't know, but all I'm saying is I can understand a perspective of I didn't get to negotiate a fee for the services I was provided, and I didn't feel like I got X amount of dollars worth of service. Is all I'm saying. And I'm not saying that's either true nor false. I'm just saying I understand that perspective.
And Sean Rogers, bottom line, refer to rule number 1 and 2 of real estate. Go on to the next subject. Great show. Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
I'm assuming
Dynamite drop in.
I'm assuming rule number 1 and number 2 is lead generate.
Yeah, that's good.
And then number 2 is don't forget rule number 1.
Refer to rule number 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would assume.
Okay. Well, then why do we even do this show?
We should be lead generating.
We should be.
Thanks, Jared.
Best case for agents, we just have to make it 1,000% clear that sellers are not required to. But like we've talked about this though, like again in the state of Texas, and I've seen these in other threads. In the state of Texas, it's, to me, it's what I'm choosing as a listing agent what to offer as a co-oping commission. I don't know how it works in other states,
Sure.
but in the state of Texas, if I sign it at 1,000,000% commission, we're just going to go something so ridiculous. That way we're not violating anything. And I'm willing to pay 1%, 2%, 500%, whatever it is. I'm choosing to do that for me as the listing agent. And I'm going to show my seller, my client, the reason why I'm doing X, Y, and Z. That's it.
Yeah.
And what it does talk about in this is that in this new lawsuit that was filed, and I have seen this, I still continue to see this. I think this is a wrong, bad move for agents. And usually it's the new ones or the ones that aren't unfortunately selling a lot of real estate, is when they're making posts about their services representing buyers are free. That should never happen. That should never be talked about.
Well, that was in the article, right?
Yes.
Because that is fair. Again, I'm trying to see the perspective of the other side. It's not free. Shouldn't be advertised.
Never
that
was
way.
free.
Never was. Shouldn't be advertised that way. And I think what I'm trying to, I don't want to sound like I'm being a downer here. I believe that, as I said last time, you could actually make more money per transaction as a buyer's agent in the future when this whole thing settles and you find your groove. If you're really kick ass at what you do, especially guys with people leaving NAR in droves and the MLS implications and the access to inventory and the kind of strange secular Wild West that the industry stands to maybe become, buyer's agents could actually become more valuable than ever. But if
let me ask you this, because
Okay.
this is a good question, right? And I hate to use the doctor analogy because, then everyone chimes in, but you got to go to medical school. Who gives a shit? Let's use this analogy right now.
Yeah, but you could go to medical school and be a foot doctor.
Well, I mean, that's a specialist,
It's not even that
right?
cool.
Still medical
If you're a
school.
generalist, right? So if you're like an ER doctor,
Okay.
ER doctors don't get paid that much.
Do they not?
Not compared to brain surgeons, not compared to
Oh, because riches in the niches.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So if you specialize, would this create it's probably, again, it's going to lower the amount of probably licensed agents. And does this create more specialized real estate agent professionals? Because if you're just representing a regular homeowner, that's a generalist, right?
Yeah.
And generalists typically get paid a kind of more average generalist type of fee.
How much do brain surgeons get paid?
Jesus Christ.
It's pretty
Brain
good.
surgeons probably make a lot.
Brain surgeons probably make north of that.
I know radiologists make a killing.
Are those X-ray guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is all you got to do is X-ray people?
You got to read the x-rays.
Yeah, you gotta read.
That's just looking
That's
at
the
pictures.
what's the guy that does the knock you out shit?
What?
I don't even know.
Oh, anesthesiologist.
Anesthesiologist, that's the
Yeah,
one.
but those guys get the most malpractice. I
Yeah.
heard.
Yeah.
That's
I
true.
think that's right.
probably
They're always on the chopping
Yeah.
block.
But does this create more of the specialized real estate professional where
Yeah.
we have next week we have Beth Silverman on back on the show,
Shout out.
who has gone down the path of there's no way that's true. First off, you're telling me that the average brain surgeon makes $297,430 a year
in Texas.
in Texas, and then it said just a physician before that was like
ER.
300.
You did specify ER.
ER.
doctor.
ER, they're not
You-
making more than a
Now,
brain surgeon.
here's where the number
absolutely
comes in.
bullshit.
Family doctor.
Yeah, that's wrong. I don't trust. That's
There you go.
AI for you. That's Ask Chat Sonic. Yeah, that's not
Okay.
right. But
So regardless,
we have Beth Silverman on the show next week,
Yes.
who has specialized in helping investors grow their portfolios. And she's now she's now branded herself as Build Wealth with Beth, right? And build wealth with Beth.
Yeah.
And then she's going down that niche path. And who would not pay if you're making me and helping me and finding me properties and portfolios and deals that's helping me grow my net worth, that's cash flowing products, and you're bringing that to me, I'm going to pay you the fee that you're going to be worth.
So however it manifests itself, I don't know exactly how it plays out, but what I'm saying is that is contributing value to your clients, not just standardized value that is given by the listing agent just for representing them, regardless of what level of service you provide. That would be Beth going out of her way to provide value that didn't currently exist. I mean, that is the truth. Guys, I don't like this. Again, choose my words carefully. But if you've ever found yourself in a situation where you're like, hey, I just had some clients show up to a builder and they didn't even show up with me, but they put my name down on the card and now my name's on the contract. Well, you didn't do as much as if you negotiated, you showed them houses, you found, like, you educated them on the air, like you did everything that a great buyer's agent and economic advisor of choice would do. But you did get paid the same amount. And so I'm not saying we don't have value. What I'm saying is we may have uneven value per transaction. And this could be an opportunity to earn enhanced value if you're really good at what you do. All of this, by the way, every lawsuit, everything that's going on right now, all of this is just a test of your mettle in the real estate industry. How good really are you? Because I will tell you, in this new reality that we live in, those people make a lot of money, dude, a lot of money being a specialist. Or just being really good.
Well,
just
shouldn't
having
we
really
all-
good systems?
actually,
Just having
shouldn't-
really good systems and being really good at what you do.
I think honestly, we should all be a specialist in something. Like, when building this, when I first started, in order to really build the business that we built, I became a specialist in expired listings. Now that's a generalist overall, but it was one type of lead source.
Right.
But, where I would grow it today, I'm telling you, like, I would go down the investor path.
Yeah.
Like, helping investors grow their portfolio, finding them opportunities to make money. I can then go and command any type of fee that I want, as long as that deal still makes sense for that investor.
I agree.
Right. So you're not going to get that for a first time home buyer. Right. So they're within their budget range. They've saved up for years. Maybe they've got a gift from family. Maybe they're on a down payment assistance program.
Yeah.
So, on that, you're probably going to be more restrictive on the fees.
I will reiterate that I think this lawsuit is nonsense, because I do believe everything is properly disclosed and always has been. At least here, I'm only familiar with Texas listing and buyer agreements. So however it looks across the country, I have no idea. I believe everything as far as buyer and seller compensation is entirely disclosed and all that type of stuff. So I don't believe that this lawsuit has much merit. I do believe the questions that it poses are very valid questions.
When do lenders get sued?
It's a good question.
Whenever we step up and take what's right.
You know the cost of the cost of getting a loan is not
that
cheap.
is true. You're just going to bake in those origination fees.
Bake. There's a lot.
They need to make money too.
They should, but I mean, let's look at it in general. Like everything costs. There's
Actually, I think Jared's right. They did get there's a wasn't that 2009 lender lawsuit? Am I
no,
wrong
it's
about
not.
this,
It wasn't a
Jesse?
lawsuit though. They were putting a cap on what they can make.
That's right. What was the regulations coming out of the Great Recession, Jesse? Can you help us with that? Like, I don't even know what to Google. Lender regulations 2009 or something
but
like that.
my understanding, it was not a lawsuit though.
Would be well, I think it was.
Yeah, let's go back to this. It doesn't matter.
Regardless.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out.
But with the lenders, did the cost of borrowing loan money go down? Did it make it cheaper to borrow? It doesn't feel like it is,
No.
because I'm writing more closing costs. Actually, it seems like closing cost assistance, if you're not trying to buy the interest rate down, has gone up a little bit.
Probably
Has stayed very similar to the same.
I think it was the end of was that the end of Dodd-Frank?
I think it was Dodd-Frank
Yeah,
that
the
kind
end.
of didn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't it Dodd-Frank that put the caps in there.
Yeah, I think that not the end of it, the start of it. Yeah, something like that.
So if we go
It's been
back,
so long.
if we go back and look at it, I mean, everything in general is ends up costing everything higher and higher.
Let me ask you this.
Sure.
This is actually a great. Well, you could see that this would be why lenders wouldn't get sued, though. We know the industry really well.
Mm-hmm.
Are there lenders that have to charge higher rates because they have higher fees? Or I'm sorry, like more of it goes to the actual lender, and they have to have higher rates to compensate for that. But if they provide better service,
All right. Let me ask you this, right?
then the value is there.
If you're getting a loan,
Okay.
right? From a service side perspective, getting a loan, if you're a W-2 income
Trid
employee,
and Dodd.
yeah,
Trid was
so
the
is
one.
Dodd-Frank and
That's what I
Trid,
was
yes.
thinking,
So if you're a W-2 employee, right? So if you're a standard case, which is probably the majority, there's the exceptions, the business owners, the people that own a lot of investments, et cetera. That's more outside the box lending, right? And so your traditional buyer, good W-2 income, 680 credit score higher.
Mhm.
How come they're still going through some type of lending institution? There's a lender involved.
Mhm.
They're paying origination fees or paying some type of fees. When in reality, you could look at it and say, in reality, could you say, all right, this type of buyer, who's getting a loan, needs X.
Mhm.
They're approved up to it. They can get approved in minutes. It's a $9.95 fee or whatever, and it's good to go.
Yeah. Well, in
Like there's no need for service on that, right? There's no need for like the service side, because they just talked about on this home buyer rep. There's on this home buyer lawsuit,
right.
Buyers agents can go charge their more competitive fees and or charge for better service.
Jesse made an interesting point at lunch earlier that I want to come back to. But on the opposite side of that exact same conversation, though, doesn't the mortgage industry already work kind of like what I'm proposing the real estate industry might work like, or might work in the future? Meaning, is there any not set, I talked about this last time. Is there any cultural standardized commission rate for lenders? But there are riches in the niches. Some focus on jumbo, some focus on VA, FHA, for some all that type of stuff. You have your specialties.
Here's what you can do, right? You can set your pricing so that you can either be more competitive on rate, more in the middle, or more higher in that.
Regardless,
and
yes.
and
that is all true.
So you've got three scopes there of ranges.
You have freedom to build your business the way you see fit to provide as much value as you can for the services that you provide.
Yeah.
And has the lending world fallen apart because of that?
So far it hasn't.
Of course. So I guess this thing about them trying to eliminate real estate professionals altogether through these lawsuits, there's literally already an ancillary industry.
Well, I don't think they're not trying to eliminate, right? They're just trying to create.
I don't even say they. I say if you look at real estate agents and the way they're reacting to this.
Sure.
It feels like the end of days. It's not. Guys, your local lender operates in an environment just like this.
Sure. I still, again, I believe that the wrong move is having buyers pay for their buyers agents when there's already all these other
I don't necessarily agree or
fees.
disagree. I think
Right,
there are a
like-
million solutions to that problem. Yes, one could be a different approach to financing. There could be a lot of different things. I agree.
I mean, you're going to bank it into the loan and now it eats into equity, or you're upside down, or we're going to have to
Potentially.
change the way appraisals work and saying, all right, you know, the appraised value is this.
Potentially.
You know, they're rolling
Yeah.
in X, but so we got to raise it up and create.
Yes.
Now it's are we inflating market values just to cover the?
Well, now you're kind of arguing against yourself, though, because if the seller's broker was already paying that and you're saying it didn't inflate value, then the buyer paying that can't also inflate value.
What does it not inflate value? It does. It's built in already, does it not? Isn't every little fee?
I don't know. You've been saying for like 2 weeks that it doesn't affect home values.
No, it's not going to change home values in a negative way. I'm saying if you got rid of this fee right now,
Okay.
like sellers are not all of a sudden going to drop their price and lower their values by
Right.
1%.
Yeah, exactly.
Right now it is. If it was never in there in the first place, then we wouldn't even be arguing about this.
I guess. Yeah. I'm just saying as far as who pays it going forward still shouldn't negatively affect home values. I don't think so. Because sellers aren't going to want any less for their home.
Well, I mean, sure.
Right. So then why does it matter who pays for it?
Because if a buyer's paying for it, they're going to have to roll it into their commission amount or into their loan
Well,
amount.
that's
right?
what
So
I'm, that's what I'm trying to say. Is
Yes.
those things maybe like there. That's why I'm saying there's a
Yes.
million solutions. Maybe some of those things change. Maybe there's a lot of variables that do have to adapt or change. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying, like, if you had to solve a problem, there are solutions to that problem. Whether or not those are the best solutions, I have no idea.
Correct.
I do understand the merit of this argument. I wouldn't love for that solution to manifest itself because it's already expensive enough to buy a home. Also, isn't that a whole different conversation around if the only thing stopping you from buying a home is that you can't afford the buyer's agent commission? There's an argument around affordability too in this country as well. I mean, there's a lot of different conversations.
Not necessarily. I mean, look, you've got the cost and the expense. You're putting down, let's call it what, 5, 10, 15, 20%.
Maybe.
Right? And you've saved that up.
Yeah.
Then you've got your lender fees in there.
Yeah.
Right. You've got your insurance, everything, property insurance. You're baking that in. Your cost to move. You're buying furniture.
That's a good point.
Right. So you kind of build all that in.
Do you think it's fair right now that we make offers with seller concessions that go towards buyer interest rate buy downs then?
If the seller's willing to pay them.
Say that again.
Is it fair that we're asking for sellers to pay points for seller concessions for buyer interest rate buy downs?
Do I think it's fair?
I don't know. I mean, we're kind of talking about the fairness of buyers paying their own agent commission.
Well, with that one, I mean, you're looking at the seller doesn't have to accept.
Yeah,
it.
that's not forced. So you're not saying that, but that's not
say no.
Yeah, that's not. They're not saying that NAR or MLS is requiring sellers to do that, which is what this lawsuit is about.
The buyer doesn't have to be represented by an agent either.
Sure, but the commission amount
it just will be harder.
The commission amount doesn't change though.
It'll be
right
harder
now.
to
The
get a
commission,
deal
if the buyer goes unrepresented, they're saying the commission amount doesn't change.
Yeah, that's the argument.
Yes,
and that's why I'm saying I kind of understand the argument because the seller's agent just gets that money even if they didn't represent the buyer.
Sure.
So I kind of understand that.
But that's what but that's in the state of Texas. That's what you wrote in there.
I agree. Guys, this lawsuit doesn't have merit. I agree 100%. I'm talking about the underlying argument in the conversation that it poses. Everything was in writing. Your buyer representation agreement, your seller representation agreement were all in writing. You knew what you agreed to. I don't think this lawsuit should hold up. I think it's very unfair that people aren't pressed with the responsibility to read the contracts that we sign. I want to make that very clear. I'm not talking about like the merit of this lawsuit. I'm talking about the questions that it poses, because we're talking about going forward and the way that the industry could be and the way that things could play out, right? and we're kind of talking about the fairness of asking buyers going forward to pay their own agent commission. And I'm just trying to pose questions around, fair and what is getting a deal done, right? Like, is it fair to say, we should encourage buyers to ask the seller for concessions to buy down our rate? It's not the seller's rate. The seller could say no. The buyer could also say no to even having an agent in the first place. They probably would have way crappier service not having an agent. And the seller probably wouldn't get a deal done in a buyer-heavy market or a buyer-favored market if they didn't agree to a buy down. So there's like a lot of conversations around this.
Sure. And Jared's like, they're saying that the cooperative commission rule isn't fair, right?
And I agree with that.
I do. I think.
Yes.
Look, I think the lawsuit should have been real estate agents suing because that was. Well, I mean, they were forcing.
You've been adamant last week as well, and I agree. Clear cooperation is not fair.
No, I think it's awful.
Yeah.
And again, because
I think that's mostly what I'm saying.
Yeah, because that's forcing my hand to offer compensation to a co-oping buyer's agent, when if I feel like if I want to change that compensation, I should be able to choose that as the broker who's getting their fee.
Yeah.
Who's getting that fee and saying, all right, I believe that we can offer X, Y, or Z. And if we do either one of these three, it's going to either get you more exposure, less exposure, whatever, and do it from that advantage. And so again, I don't know how other states do it. I'm assuming other states maybe have it where they are required to set a certain minimum standard.
I agree that I think that in the, there might be a lot of ways to play this out. Let's just say this, right? If I have a listing and I'm a seller, it might make more sense to me to offer a higher buyer's agent commission. I would hate the idea because, again, this goes back to this lawsuit around steering. If we're only, or I say not only, if we're more inclined to influence buyers to go with the home in any way, shape, or form because it pays a higher commission, that wouldn't be the level of integrity that we want to practice in this industry. And we already have seller bonuses, agent bonuses, all that type of stuff. That stuff already exists, right? So I can see where it may make sense if I'm a seller to try to entice or whatever. I would probably rather entice the buyers themselves with concessions rather than the agent, because that's a direct correlation to the transaction.
I've always said that too, though.
Yeah, that makes way more sense. Yeah. That's a way more justified way of doing things. And if I'm a buyer's agent, it is just up to me to justify my value. If I can justify that when you work with me, it will be better for you long term, the same way a lender does. Because when a lender is done with the transaction, they're done with the transaction, but the rate stays the same until you refinance or sell.
Sure.
So this industry already exists. We have to justify value.
Yeah.
If like lenders talk about this all the time, I could get a lower rate. Like potentially I can get a lower rate with Rocket Mortgage. But why don't I do that? Because they won't close on time. That'll cost me money. All of the things that we talk about.
They'll also have more fees.
All of that stuff, all that type of stuff. There's value in working with me as a lender. There should be value in working with me as an agent. And I'm not trying to crap on agents. I think that you can make more money going forward. This is where I would be slamming the table. Jesse put these things here, so I don't slam the table. I think you can make more money as a buyer's agent going forward if you're really a G and you can justify your value. It's going to take some working out.
You know what I think it takes? Yeah, working out on that, but I think it takes pouring into understanding this industry instead of just getting in because you like to look at houses or, it seems like easy money.
Selling sunset.
The selling sunset, the $1 million listing or whatever it is, and actually pour into this business. This is a combination of sales, psychology, and negotiation tactics and marketing, right? I'm
totally in for that.
The best 100%. Realtor isn't the one that knows everything. Typically your best realtor is the best marketer. Right. So
that's what they say,
where you understand your value proposition on a buyer's agent. Like most people who represent a lot of buyers, what is their value proposition in reality?
Well, it's
I
gonna
drive a
be-
nice car. I work 24/7. I open any door you want to see.
Yeah.
I'm aggressive on negotiations. Okay, what does that mean? They don't know how to explain that.
Yeah.
Like, they
And-
can't break
yeah.
their numbers down. Like,
this is what I'm saying.
like-
You will be pressed
Yeah.
to justify your value. And by the way, this again, I don't want to overshadow the importance of potentially, a large majority of the industry leaving NAR, because that does become an access to inventory conversation. Oh, they score again 4-0. Wow. That does become an access to inventory conversation.
sure.
Right. And so this has been, New York City was like this, or still is for a long time. Multiple MLSs, segregation of inventory, things like that. You do have to work really hard to find inventory. You have to work hard as a buyer's agent to get access to certain inventory, all that type of stuff. Whether that's efficient or not is a different conversation, but a lot of these things are happening at the same time. They're on a collision course. And so being a really strong buyer's agent might have its place in a new reality if the MLS doesn't look exactly like it does now.
No, I agree. I mean, I'm just going down the path of, like, number one, it just tells me why it's solidified my entire career of just being a listing agent.
List to last is
yeah.
probably one of the most truthful,
Yeah.
little sayings
It's
in real
probably
estate.
it's probably more true than ever now.
Yeah, it has to be.
And if I was going to only represent buyers, then I would go and study my numbers and saying, on average, like, if I'm looking at breaking my numbers down and giving you my resume and say, why should you hire me, Brian?
Yeah.
Well, that's a great question. Here it is. On average, I am able to get 4, 5, 6% off of the list price.
Mhm.
I'm able to, on average, get my buyers to have the sellers pay X% towards their seller concessions.
Yep.
On average, I'm 95% of the time able to get you a 13-month or 12-month home warranty.
We know average days on market for certain zip codes, and we use that at listing appointments, right? Like, average sells in 10 days, I sell in 5. What about the average negotiated repairs for this area and what I can actually do for you?
Probably.
Isn't that what lawyers do, by the way? They negotiate for a living, and they get you either, I don't know, a shorter sentence or no sentence, or more money or no money,
Yeah,
right? Like,
I mean,
that's what lawyers do, proving your value. I'm doing a financial transaction. I'm trying to make it better in your favor. I should be able to come up with a way to prove that to you.
Tour Studio is going to start doing, video marketing for buyer's agents, and we're going to start running it straight as the great ambulance chasing attorneys.
Oh, I thought it was like Law Hawk
Yes.
style.
Yeah, Law Hawk style.
100%.
Law Hawk style. We're gonna
The
have
hammer.
Every one of them has a sledgehammer.
we're gonna have buyers agents kicking in first time home buyers apartment doors, saying how they just got their first time home buyer $30,000 in repairs and a 3% interest rate.
If I can't negotiate repairs, I'll burn the house down
That's
myself.
right.
Yeah.
Here's the plug is I'll get you 10,000, you give me 5,000.
Yeah, exactly.
There it is.
Ooh, what about that? Don't attorneys take a percentage of the winnings?
Yup.
Yeah.
What if you start a real estate company where you get a percentage of the concessions that you negotiate?
Then won't buyers not want to get massive concessions? And
No, because
Here
they'll still
comes-
get it too.
no, I get it. Yeah.
Here comes the negotiation.
Yes,
I'm
I
gonna
like
give you.
that.
I'm gonna get you 30,000. You're
Yeah.
gonna give me
We're gonna
10,000.
bury these people.
Yeah, I like it.
That's so.
I'm
There's
gonna
a lot
negotiate
of, there's a lot
them
of
out of their
conversations to
house.
be had. There's a lot of ways it could go, boys.
Yeah,
Wow, that's an interesting thing to think
yeah.
about.
That
Look,
is-
this was a Jim Adler, the Texas Hammer.
Oh, Jim Adler. He's the one that's still alive, right?
Yeah, you're thinking of Brian
Brian something.
Longcar.
Brian
Oh,
Longcar.
Longcar.
Yeah, yeah.
Stay
That
out.
one's a sad story.
That's a really sad story.
Yeah, what was he? The
The strong arm.
yes,
Yeah.
Brian Longcar and the strong arm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't hear much about
yes,
the Law Hawk.
that's right,
anymore.
Corey.
There you go.
Yeah. Then if there's a bidding war, buyer
That
pays
is a
50,000.
conversation we
Buyer-
didn't have, which I was going to bring up earlier. We're talking about paying buyers agents and them not being able to afford it.
I mean,
Can
that's,
somebody explain the 2021 market to me then?
Yeah,
No, we're not going.
that's-
That's all
that's-
COVID money. We're not talking about that. We've nailed
that's-
that. That's the reason why we're in this shit. In the
Okay.
first place.
That's true.
Okay.
That's the big
Thanks
question,
a lot, Corey,
though.
for bringing this up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn it, Corey.
I'll
Yeah.
just leave it there on video,
Yeah.
and you guys ponder that in your own minds.
That's right. You guys tell us what you think should happen.
I think the real
In the
conspiracy- I
comments.
think Zillow's doing this. Zillow's
I think so
behind all
too.
of this.
Look, shadow government, shadow Zillow.
I think
It's-
Zillow is BlackRock.
Zillow is BlackRock.
Yes.
Finkel
Don't say
is
it too
Einhorn.
loud.
Yeah.
Finkel, Simon.
Yeah.
It's Finkel.
Yeah. You know who's not BlackRock? Mortgage Mike. He's
true.
not.
He's the opposite of
No,
BlackRock.
but he'll lend that money out. Mortgage Mike stamp of approval. You need that loan here in Texas or Oklahoma. Corey, I know you're licensed in Oklahoma. Send Mortgage Mike
He
some
is.
deals. All you need to do is go to mmgloans.com and ask for that Mortgage Mike stamp of approval. Right? He's over there slinging loans left and right. He's busier than ever. And then write in that home warranty, because that doesn't increase home value costs and anything else like
Nope.
that.
Nope.
Home warranty companies aren't getting sued. They have great reviews.
Yeah.
Theron definitely
Well,
does with
some of them
armadillo.1
don't, but
/Tor, T-O-R-E.
Armadillo does.
Armadillo has amazing reviews, not
That's
the
right.
other ones. And I
Not
can
the
name
other
some
ones.
of those.
They're all terrible.
Yeah, terrible.
Thanks, Charles Barkley.
Yep.
Terrible.
Yep.
Terrible.
So armadillo.1 /Tor, T-O-R-E.
All right. When you're done suing them, go over to homewarddfw.com.
Don't sue them.
The home of Homeward Property Management. Dana wins, working her butt off over there in the other room. That's what I love
What did
about
we say
Homeward.
she's winning for whom?
Something about, what did we say earlier, an hour ago?
We'll make a shirt about it.
Yeah.
We'll make a shirt about it. Something about winning and you're an investor.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Whatever it
Yeah.
was. But you know
Homeward-
where you can also
Homeward
win.
DFW.
HomewardDFW.com. And pop on over to Tor Studios where you get this depth.
Look at that.
This is
It's all about the
great.
depth.
Look at the
Man,
bouquet.
I feel incredible today.
Right? Would you rather have depth or
Not depth.
Or width. Width is the only worth.
yeah, you tell me.
I feel very good about Jesse's setup now. This is awesome, man. Like the lights, everything. Regardless, check out Tor Studios. Make some videos here. Whatever kind of content you're trying to produce, Jesse Showalter's gotcha.
Torstudio.com.
.com. I was
Awesome.
going to ask you a question.
Do it.
Like a, it was like a sign-off question. I can't remember now.
What do you think it would have been? If you were to ask me that question right now, what would it have been?
It was something about sports, but I can't
Sure.
remember.
Soccer?
It wasn't about soccer.
Mm.
Yeah.
It wasn't about
Well,
soccer.
we're down 4-3 now, so
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's like the highest scoring soccer game I've ever heard of. 4-3 in a
Yeah.
Champions League game.
we got a red card in the first half.
Mm.
Who's the best country right now for soccer?
United States.
Country.
We're always number one.
Argentina. They won the World Cup.
Argentina is really good.
Yeah, that was
They
yeah.
won the
Messi
World
took,
Cup.
yeah, he brought
They
it
finally won it.
No, I know they
Yeah.
beat France. It feels weird that France is good at soccer because they're such a small country.
What else do they do good?
Freedom
Cheese? Wine?
Crepes.
in. Mhm.
It's not war, that's
All
for
right.
sure.
I don't even think they
Next
make
week,
them. I
hopefully,
think-
Kelderman will be back.
I hope
I
so.
hope so.
One
Miss
day
that
we'll
guy.
see him again.
Yeah. All right.
Until then, we don't know how to sign off.
Yeah.
No, we don't.
We'll just
We're just gonna keep going.
continue talking until Jesse very abruptly plays us out.
Go to our Facebook page.
Regardless,
Ooh,
Group,
good
the
call.
only real estate group worth being a part of.
that's a good one.
You know
We
what?
like hanging out there.
You know,
Just
go
for him.
subscribe to our YouTube channel because we have
Yeah.
501 subscribers now.
Yeah, we do.
We did.
Killing
We
it.
finally broke the
The
500. mark.
500.
Not bad, guys.
Christina Smallhorn would be happy with us.
All right, let's see this comment. We're gonna apparently keep this going.
We're gonna go.
Yeah.
How
Let's see.
about-
Sal, how
Sal.
about they make commissions 2% for each side, fixed but also forbid any commission debating, and give the agents the leads they generate from their listings or pay them a commission
Oh,
from all proceeds earned from their listings. Everyone profits.
Sal's actually a badass.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
appreciate
Listing
it.
picks
Jesse,
are copyrighted.
that-
Sorry, Zillow, Realtor.com.
That does spark my memory. That was what Jesse was talking about at lunch. Would you rather them have fixed commissions or fixed interest rates?
Fixed interest
true.
rates.
Why don't we have that? Why are we not suing people around that?
Yeah.
Because there's only one variable.
Who do we
you could,
sue, the
You could
banks or
still
the Fed?
have many economic variables, asset prices, velocity of money, all that type
You know,
of
I'm
stuff.
glad you brought that up because that was something because we talked about that. Then I had to get up to pee.
Yeah.
Right. And so I was coming back out and I'm like, all right, if you kept it between 5 and 6%, it couldn't go higher, couldn't go lower than that.
Right.
But I mean, and you could tie, retirement accounts to that, right? It earns, it's going to earn.
Mhm.
Make sure that it's, it maybe it doesn't screw over a lot of maybe high defaults or something like that. It just starts kicking that out. That would be interesting.
I know.
Hmm.
Comment in the Facebook group or
I think
make a
we need to
post on
run for-
why that isn't
We
possible.
run together as one person for government, something in the government that we just run on that platform.
We'll just tag team it.
Yeah.
as one person.
Yeah, we'll split the salary.
To the
Deal.
Fed,
Yeah.
I don't think the government pays.
head of the Fed.
No, the government pays well.
I think the government's like boxing, where you got to be the top 1% to really make money.
Do you think that we could get this show and we could just run for an office and we could somehow win it?
Yes.
I think that if we really took it more seriously and maybe
The show or the office?
Yes.
both. Then maybe here's our platform. Starting next week, vote for us. We'll tell you what you're voting for starting next week.
All right, Jesse.
We'll figure it out.
Get us out of here.
Miss you, man.
Oh, Kelderman's here.
Thanks for watching the show today. Make sure if you're watching this on Facebook, you head over to our group, the only real estate group worth being a part of, so you can watch the extended conversation. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And if you listen on the Apple Podcast, leave us a review. We'd really like it. So just do it. Do it. Do that over there. Go to this one. Then go to that one. Thanks.